100%.
So, with that out of the way, we're looking for the other quarterfinal game on the right side of the bracket. It's going to be Max Snax versus Hypxr next, the winner of whom will be facing Nebula in the semis.
Ooh, that is interesting because I think that I actually don't even know which of these Nebula would rather face because Nebula has competitive history versus Max Snax recently in Platinum, but Hyper has been like rising up very quickly through their competitive results in SCL. And it might be a bit of an unknown. I don't know how much Nebula's ever played them, so I don't know if Nebula would prefer the Devil They Know versus the Devil They Don't in between these players. But I guess at least they'll get to see how them play today.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun set to watch there. I suspect this is going to be a pretty close match. These are both some quite skilled rising players, and it's going to be a joy to watch. Here are the drafts. We've got Hyper picking up a bunch of actually, a bunch of four ofs for both of them, really.
Yep, and we'll be sort of similar in that we see lots of 4-ups, but we did have those couple of 3s scattered in the last one. But yeah, 4s across the board. And the really the only unusual 4s would be Veranda Library, but of course they suck and ban both Library and Veranda, the only interesting ones out of all of this. So I'm salty now.
Yeah. So it was Max Snax picking the banana pool, which was the same pool of four ofs as last time, and Hyper picking up the vanilla pool, which is basically the tried and true four ofs.
I don't know. They're cowards, is what I'm going to say. But still, I do like the remaining setups. I just really want to see more Veranda and Library A4 of 8. So that's sad, but I do love my my ballrooms, the galleries, the modernes, especially, and that'll be fun to see on these setups for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of which, it's Moderne and Gallery are the two that got doubled, so you may get a little bit of your wish one way or the other. Let's get this show on the road. It's Max Snax on the spy side first in Pub 4 of 7 versus Hyper's Sniper in 3, 2, 1 playing.
I'm not, and actually, also just thinking of the bands in there, I am definitely not surprised that Hyper banned A4 of 8 Veranda. I am surprised that Max did. I feel like Max would actually be quite good at Library A4 of 8, and actually also Veranda A4 of 8 for that matter. So it's a little bit of an interesting strategy here because I feel like Max as a player is actually really great at thinking on their feet and operating in chaos. And I feel like I mean that's going to play out well for them in all these venues, anyways. They have nice bits of chaos you can be strategic about. But I do think they'd be good at it. So I want them to reconsider in the future if they make it further.
So a slow start for Max Snax, spent a little while in the pub and then out to the selection target. Unfortunately, selection target went for the briefcase before they were able to pick up any flirt, so no progress as of yet. 3 minutes and 15 to play.
And last time, when we saw Pub last time, we only saw the A3 of 7. No, we did see A4 of 7 last time. Never mind. So that when we saw that, we saw Nebula have their foot on the gas a lot during the beginning, and we do not have that yet so far. So much so that Max, the longer this goes on, where we have this nothing conversation, the more this is looking like it to be a frame game. Oh, but Seduction Target does come back to us, so that helps.
Yeah, that's quite kind of them after abandoning us so cruelly earlier on. 30% on the flirt after Max is not able to hit the green test on it isn't ideal, but not terrible either for sure. And the second target stepping away once again gives us an excuse to chase now that we've been waiting here so long.
Honestly, we need to consider, and I'm sure that Max already is, seduction target a potential frame target because seduction target was near us, picked up a briefcase, walked away, came back, looks like they were flirting with Irish, and then walked away right after they were done talking. I don't know how much Hyper actually looks for a flirt pairing like that, but if you were looking for a flirt pairing, oh, and she's going to statues. Oh, such target's a great frame target, but we've already purloined, so that's not our play here. We were looking for somebody else. I actually don't even know who we could have been framing that. I thought we were just next to Irish. We hadn't been drinking there, so maybe somebody else slipped in there. So Purloin is gone. It's not going to be the seduction target frame, and it's just going to be throwing out the mission in there, of which we have not had a strong reaction until right now, and we are in the lowlights.
Oh, that's a wild shot from Hyper. Just doesn't think Max Snax would have any reason to go for the direct purloin there, despite the fact that that's exactly what they did. But they have very little progress to show for it. They're going full frame here, it looks like, with the fake contact.
Yeah, the funny thing is, so every once in a while, we have a flash near Teal Rocker and Twin. So they, and that is, it looked like actually, if that was the contact stuff, those are the only ones with reel in there. Which actually is going to be another reel in here because we're going to throw another reel in here, which is going to be weird, right? Because we already had reel, I think, for maybe each of the people in there. The only thing that changed was Queen and Wheels coming in. So we'll have, they get dropped back down because of it. So now I have no idea, actually, if there's going to be a shot that comes off in time because this frame looked really good.
So we've got purloin done, we've got contact done, we've got most of the flirt and half of the print.
It's got to be a bug on the way through here, right? No, it's just going to be statue. No. So we could inspect swap. That probably has to be, unless there's a... Oh, fingerprintable.
There is
okay,
a print
so we're going to
here.
inspect.
Do we hit the print? This is what is all hinges on. We do hit the print! 14 seconds when we hit that print. I don't think Hyper's going to be able to find anything on this. And Max Snax, with a bit of a scary game, winding up getting low lit and winning game number 1 from the spy side.
Very good on Snax there. For not only are you always like pretty, like, because of statues being done in one, you're always one statue visit away from 2 missions at the very least. But because there was that difficult fingerprint, we had swap in our back pocket if we needed it, and we probably would have gotten away with it given that we were a low light. So the main thing is that Snax didn't let themselves time out there after completely getting away with that purloin.
Yeah. You never think you're a low lit from the spy side. You always feel heat even when it's not there. But Hyper can't find it from the sniper side in game number 1. Let's see what he can do in the spy shoes. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I will say also good on Hyper for holding during that, right?
Yeah,
is it looked like they were gonna shoot for most of that time, and so that was holding was the only way in which they might have seen something crazy, like if Queen like threw out a really terrible bug that is so obvious you could even see it when they're low lit. That was the only way that Hyper was going to come back into it, was patience and then somehow crazily seeing something near the end. So it was good on Hyper that we showed that we actually didn't fall for the frame. It's just that unfortunately we did low light during the other pass.
Absolutely. So Hyper out to the bar early on. Not close enough to get much of a flirt here, but still 26% off of a green test, and picks up a delegate for our troubles. So nice to have the... Oh, that's a weird little bug coming all the way across the bar. It looked like Max Snax's laser was moving to take a highlight, and a very unexpected time for a bug from Hyper winds up working out brilliantly.
Yeah, 100%. Like you might have been able to just catch just a tiny glimpse of the arm, but it felt like a pretty good timing so that it didn't look like it was too forced. We are bumping into a lot of people as we're doing these paths, though. But so far, it looks like that's not going to be too much of a problem. So we do still have to worry about timing for the any 4-8. Unfortunately, this fake comes off a little bit late, so there's a couple more lowlights than we were hoping for. We'll have to see how the rest of them play out. It right now is looking like the other conversation that had the double agent in it is going to get a bit of scrutiny here. So when we switch over and we contact again, there is a chance we get brought back up to a highlight for suspicion rather than the highlight that was there previously, which is just for purloin tracking.
Yep, we shall see. I like that we're delaying here a little while before we take the contact, though, to try to make it look a little bit less conspicuous that we're here now. Little over 2 minutes to play. We've got the bug done and the one flirt, and that's it.
Yeah, we are taking our time with this one. We might be hoping that right now, if we're watching both seduction target and boots, one we need to be paying attention to boots because they got the inspect. Actually, so does sorry. We might be hesitant to contact without at least one of them in a conversation circle that's compelling enough to think that they might be contacting in there. And then of course we need to worry about where seduction target's going, which is right now straight to the briefcase and going to be doing nothing for a little bit of time. Sorry weaves in and out of our conversation circle, which is a bummer because we would love for them to be in there because they just picked up that fresh inspect credit. Boots is far across the venue in a big enough conversation circle that you could hope that there was a double Asian in there, but nothing quite yet happening for them. And some really good bounces by Papa Danger and our seduction target. And we do contact here and bail, so we'll see if we get any credit for this.
Yep, an entire minute went by as we were waiting for the conversations to fill back up, and the banana split on the way out. We do take a highlight as we enter and immediately take this flirt up to 77% on a green test. Under a minute to play and 2 missions still to get. It's going to be a flirt and something else. What's it going to be? It looks like it's going to be statues.
Yeah, this is actually looking pretty bad for Hypxr at this point. We got unlucky in that the double agent conversation that we were in was very empty. The other conversation with the SDA only had our seduction target who was already a low light, and so that contact and us switching conversations to go do that flirt. So the bail was just very obvious because we were bailing from like the only conversation in which real was a threat, and so it made it more apparent, and nobody else was doing anything in the conversation. So not a bad game by Hypxr. Could have been really different if there was an SDA in a nice full conversation.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the very moment they were seen at that statue, the shot comes off pretty much instantly, and Max Snax goes up 2-0, heading into Courtyard 4 of 7 next. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
So this, if you had been watching from the first part of the cast, this is going to be a very different situation and setup than the previous one. It's very rare that we get to switch between setups in the same cast. So just noting that last time when we saw, I think it was Seek actually also Nebula grabbing the Purloin immediately. That was on A3 of 7, but we're back to old familiar A4 of 7 Courtyard.
Back to Old Faithful we go. This is a venue, generally speaking, where the spies kind of have to get a little bit creative to find ways to win. Generally speaking, as at least lately, if the spies are able to get away with something exciting and unexpected, then they have a very good chance of finding a win. However, if they just stick to the usual game plan, play a nice, slow, well-paced game, and try to find a hardtail at the end, it generally ends badly for them. So this is very much a venue that rewards creativity. We'll see what Max Snax can do with it after 54% on the flirt and in conversation with the double agent.
Yeah, and to your point, this is the venue that reminds me the most of poker because there's only like poker truly doesn't have that many hands. Okay, we do have a contact here, noting that that's just a good contact. There's lots of people in conversation. The only person out was actually an SDA, so that's the only thing that actually might bite us is that the real is kind of just like stuck in that spot. But everybody kind of looks like they would want to contact in that, so I don't know how much credit we're going to get. And Double Agent does leave pretty quickly after that. And we do
Out
go
to statues, we go immediately afterwards as well. So a print here plus a pair of inspects. This is a lot of progress moving pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is the spot where when I think about it like poker, I kind of just think of like, okay, I have these cards in the community pool. This is what every single a guest at this party has available to them. You know, there's this many people in conversation circles. There's this many people that have gone to statues. Those are kind of the cards, the community cards. And then you'll have a couple of spots at like, okay, what can I do? What's my spot in this party? So I can get exactly to 4, make some sort of hand, and hopefully that the sniper isn't able to call us out on it.
In conversation with the seduction target at 88% on the flirt. So anything will do at this point in time as soon as we get this cooldown done. Ambassador around, but not really in a vulnerable position. Something that Hyper will have to pay attention to, but not something he has to guard closely, and not something inviting enough for Max Snax to take an attempt at. There's the flirt done. Really, what he wants to find is a print. Question is, will he be able to?
Yeah, what was kind of nice is, oh, this
Well,
is
now he
perfect.
can.
We exactly like we got really lucky on seduction target being in the same conversation circle, and it looks like, by the way, this is just gonna not be a shot in here. Wait,
It's a
no,
shot! As soon as you said it, it's a shot. Hyper finds the fingerprint right at the end, pulls the trigger, and gets himself on the board.
that is a fabulous shot because I really we really were burning a lot of time in that end of conversation. Sorry, that final conversation circle. And the thing that I liked from Max Snack is we were waiting for two things at the same time. We were waiting for Ambassador to leave of their own accord for us to pick up a natural briefcase and finish up fingerprint. And we were also waiting for our seduction timer to cool down. Normally, when you're having to wait for those, you have to sequence the waiting, and then they're just burning too much time. If we had to wait in two conversations for that to happen, no way. We were going to be in OT, wasn't going to happen, or we have to make something happen. But the fact that we got to wait for both at the same time really worked out well, but it didn't matter because Hyper was able to find it. And Hyper might have also just been worried that we were, we might have already been done with flirt at that point if we hit, more white, more green tests on our flirt. So very well done.
Yeah, that was a very well found shot from Hyper. Let's see what they can do on the spy side of Courtyard in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Well, looks like we have a natural drink offer, and we're just going to do an innocent take. So we do something interesting here, which is we have an innocent watch check and innocent drink take, both at spots where many spies might try to fish for either a time ad or a green purloin, and instead we bail out and then we go for a very quick flirt and run.
Yeah, very quick flirt and run completely off camera because Max Snax was on the other side of the venue with the laser as well. So there was really no risk in that, and Hyper is able to get that done very nicely, very cleanly, and winds up with a bit of a quicker start than they otherwise would. Unfortunately, they haven't really been able to find anything to do with it after all of that bouncing with the ambassador on the way into this conversation.
Yeah, and Hyper is definitely dangerous from these positions where we get we get an early 51% flirt. I got to play them a bit in Bronze SEL, and they were after they had a good start, they were extremely bold and creative. And here we go, we're continuing on it now. Unfortunately, Double Agent does leave for us because otherwise we'd have quite the ability to drop a contact in there and have those done pretty compellingly. But we do have pretty good pace still if we're able to find one more thing pretty soon here.
Absolutely. There's a green purloin. Looked like it might have been Pearls who took the reject there, but winds up going to Pearls next, and Pearls takes the drink. So clearly it was us as Hyper if Max Snax was paying enough attention to that. Let's see what the reaction is. I'm not really sure they've figured out what's gone on here, actually.
Yeah, importantly, we had two passes over. Like we had multiple passes over Alice that we could have done a low key highlight, and we haven't had that, right? So we've had multiple opportunities where even if Max was on top of us and didn't want to indicate to us, we've already passed the laser over enough times that the highlight could have happened without drawing too much suspicion from Hyper. So agreed that this is it's unclear how much we're on top of Alice here.
In conversation with the double agent now. No, never mind. They go for the briefcase instead of the conversation. So that kind of forces Hyper out to go do something else with their time. Little under a minute to play. It's 50 seconds now.
Seems like Hyper might be trying to avoid statues this game. Because like the obvious thing that you would do at this point. Okay, we're going to immediately contact in here when as Wheels comes in. So the question is, are we going to do something right after this? Boots is going to get dropped down. We're not taking a lot of time to look at Pony here. And it looks like we're going to be looking for that bug. Yeah, we really don't want to do statues this game. And we do get marked a highlight, though, because it looks like we were trying to force out. I wonder if we were worried about bug there or if we were worried about forcing out for a fingerprint.
If it was worried about bug, that's a pretty rough hit with that glass in hand. I think he was trying to show that it wasn't him because he was doing the bug path with the drink, but it doesn't matter anyways because the shot winds up coming off on a civilian, and Hypxr finds 2 in a row in response to draw things level.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always the thing where like missing a purloin does double duty in that the spy is able to like get further along their path and that they can potentially put something together with more aggression. But the other thing with a miss like purloin thing is if other people just go do stuff, they might just get shot because there's so many things happening on there. So it's interesting to me that both the highlight happened correctly on us and that there was a civ shot. It feels like those would be in conflict with one another. But I am curious. I'm also I'm watching this attempt because Rob brought up a useful point in chat here that it looks like we might have been going for a drink bug attempt. And the reason why it looks like that is if we look at the path that we take towards Ambassador, to get a drink bug, you'd have to get kind of like a frame perfect moment where your arm is available, but you turn as you do it so that your drink hand would be the one tipping towards it, which is usually impossible. But our approach here at the end, when we pivot around, does look like we might have been looking for that.
Either way, we come out level at 2, and Max Snax is getting ready to pick up those spy shoes once again, this time with heels on, as winds up with turquoise here at 4 of 8 high rise in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And also for those that watched the previous set, we are on A4 of 8 high rise. So this is a little bit unusual if you've been watching SCL, mostly for your high rise. This is going to have more people, more time, and more available missions. Every mission is available. So you do have to be looking around quite a bit, but it is just a lot that you have to do as Spy.
Takes up an early flirt as well for 34%, pretty much right off the top of the game. So Courtyard steps away before we're able to get a timer flirt out of it, but that's still about what you want from Max Snax.
Yeah, definitely. And then let's see if I'm trying to imagine Max Snax on A4 of 8 high rise. I do feel like Max is going to be pretty sensitive to inspect finishers. So one of the things that's a little bit underrated about A4 of 8, even though I do personally like the A3 of 6 no swap, no microfilm setup that we got here, is that there are a lot of inspect finishes because there's so many statues and so many people that really there are a bunch of people that finish it. Now they do have to stack up with a lot of other mission progress for them to actually be threats, but if you really do pay attention to them, you can get some fun little moments in there where you try to frame them in and maybe get them with 3 missions and a worry, and sometimes they'll get civ shot.
Second flirt comes off at statues to bring us up to 87% off of a green test. So 2 inspects as well for our troubles is a fair bit of progress in that one spot for Max Snax. And back in conversation with the seduction target to finish this up. So that's 1 mission down and most of a second.
And the other important thing with lots of characters on high rise is where is Ambassador, right? Is Ambassador actually sowing a lot of like threat through the large conversation circles with lots of coverage, or are they doing what they're doing right now, which is basically they're on an island, they're not a problem at all, and we're able to just watch pretty much everything in here. We have an interesting little book read grab briefcase from Wheels here. I don't know if Hypxr cares about things like that, but I could see that getting pushed either direction in suspicious or not suspicious.
Out we go. It looked like Max Snax was angling for a possible walking bug, but the Ambassador started moving before they had a chance at it. Big safety off on Smallman here.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to see what happens with this. I'm curious what that's for because they did have book, they did have briefcase. Um, we might be one of the things though is we are
That's a
gonna
swap.
white swap off the side.
That's a big moment. If Max Snax can get out of there before really being noticed, it looks like he's in a commanding position here. In conversation with the double agent is where we're heading, but it does get seen. The shot comes off, and Hypxr finds it from the sniper side.
Yeah, it looks like I was gonna say, like, what do we find the peak on the statue? We did find the peak on the statue because, like, I think that it looked like we were bugging there at the end, and I was curious if the shot came off for the potential bug path alone. But it looks like we peeked at the statue, saw that it was different, and then at the same time that our eyes are coming back to Teal, we're next to Ambassador in a buggable position where if we're zoomed in, we can confirm the arm isn't bugging, but from far away, it looks like they might have just been swapped and trying to desperately end the game.
Hypxr on the spy side next, this time with a lead to play with versus Max Snax's sniper in 3-2-1 playing it.
Also noting there, we were trying to frame Rocker in that swap, or at least do that thing where you can kind of split. Where okay, at worst this looks like a Rocker frame. At best, maybe I get away with the swap without them ever checking. But Rocker was a low light already. I don't know what for, but a little bit of misfortune there because there weren't very many low lights in the game yet at that point. But it was like the one that we had tried to frame.
That was certainly a path. Looked like we headed out, got bumped, and wound up going straight through the conversation instead of around to try to get in position for the flirt, who then immediately bails on us. So all of that was for naught.
Yeah, our pace is going to get thrown off here a little bit, and that can bite Hypxr a little bit when they can't find something. That said, I mean there are lots of opportunities here. It's just that it is true. High rise trying to make the first couple things happen is just hard because like everything feels like it is very cumulative on high rise. There's like no good easy first thing to do except seduce. Fingerprints are a little bit hard to come by often because the ambassador's moving on so much they often don't drop something. Um, though, as I say that, Ambassador does take a drink here, and there might be a natural second offer after Red Dress here. So either we will get the clean off of them rejecting, or a nice second offer here for the difficult. So that is actually at least a little bit of good news for us, and actually also springs a fingerprint credit on our seduction target. So that might be a little bit nice too.
Does hit the difficult print as well, so that's going to be very useful for Hypxr going forward. We've got 51% on the flirt as well. And there's the second print off of the briefcase. Immediately tries to get away from it. I'm not sure what excuse there was for that immediate put down and bail, but it doesn't look like we're dead yet, and we do have the print done.
Yeah, I think we were just hoping not to get seen because I agree that we were. I don't know if Hypxr went into that briefcase grab with the intention of immediately dropping it, or if they grabbed the briefcase and then realized Ambassador was probably too close to justify grabbing the briefcase, and then was like, I just need to put this down because if I'm seen returning, then I'll just call more attention to the fact that I would actually be probably too close for this briefcase return. Unclear. But I will say that I do feel like we're being kept on camera a little bit more than my liking for Hypxr here.
So print done, flirt done now at the green bookcase. And now definitely pushing the ambassador around a little bit, although we don't need to be anymore. Here's a green purloin, and then we're just waiting for the double agent to get into conversation, but that's not where she's headed. Oh, she does actually redirect back into conversation, so we're going to give chase. The bug on the way through was not, I think, the correct way to try to finish this. That is just a hard angle to get away with it on, even with all of that cover. It's whenever you're trying to bug perpendicular to the sniper angle, it's just going to be a bad time. And Max Snax proves it in this case. It's 3-3.
Yeah, if we were a slower character and our arm was going to be back to its resting position by the time we do it, I do understand why we we may have felt that the chain was so short after our reject that it going straight to wheels and immediately getting taken meant that contact was off the table. But with a bug like that, like you're saying, it was we don't get to find out because it was just too on screen.
And that leaves us tied heading into our first doubled venue of the match. We're heading out to Gallery, any 4 of 8. This venue and setup is going to be quite a familiar sight to anybody who's in the competitive scene for any length of time. Let's see how Max Snax is able to handle it from the Spy side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Hoping to fish for. I mean, we could call Toby, but we decided not to. We're just going to be fishing for that seduction target. Unfortunately, they do join Double Agent at the book, where I don't think we're going to be going for that. I think we might be eyeing up a briefcase once Ambassador leaves here, because I don't see much use of us being here except for that. So it'd be about now. Max Snax, by the way, one of the people that knows briefcase ranges the very best. I think I want to say I credit him with the discovery of the rings of briefcase grabs and returns. Did a lot of testing around that. So we ended up not doing that. So instead, you just get that little bit of tidbit in case you haven't been on the Discord and seen Max Snax first talking about that a long time ago. But pretty cool inference that he had about that.
So out to the green bookcase we go to pick up a book. We'll see what Max Snax is able to do with this. It looks like nothing. It just goes right back where it came from. And this poor man has literally no progress so far.
Although, it looked like seduction target might be coming in and just like coming up right next to us, but they take such a flirty path for no flirting. But we do go force the issue and ask them what they're reading.
So finally picking up our first piece of progress as Max Snax steps into the blue bookcase next to the seduction target and picks up 51% off of a green flirt. Unfortunately, there was a difficult print there as well, which Max was not able to pick up.
And also, potentially, unfortunately, I don't know what the low light on general is for, but if Max
There's a wrong arm bug on the way through. Lots of
flashes
flickering on the safety. So I think Hypxr is... Maybe they didn't actually see it and are just very concerned about it, but they're not showing their hand to Max Snax as of yet. I do think they're very suspicious about it, though.
I do think that spies can't help but bug Ambassador using a path like that. If Ambassador's at the furthest inner statue, it's just there's so many paths you can take that are justified that spies have likely practiced on how to get across. Like especially with like I just feel like if I see Papa Danger make that path, I almost like just shoot every time because it's so reliable with the arm that you have there and crossing that little spot. So I do think that it seems like Hypxr is on top of this. And additionally, if Max is thinking that they could frame our seduction target later for if they pick up another fingerprint because they were the first to go to blue bookcase and grab fingerprint from there, that's also not going to be the best for us. So it's hard to tell how good Max Snax thinks this game's going, but they're going to have to finish it out regardless.
Well, I think they're thinking it's going a little bit worse than they were a moment ago because they missed out on a green flirt at the front. Never mind, there's a purloin going on. Let's pay attention to this instead. We've got a little bit of safety blinking on Boots, it looks like. A fake contact as well in with the suspected double agent, so that's not going to help. Purloin has not been taken yet. There's the take. Hypxr does not like this. It looks like they took a panic shot, but it wound up being the correct one. And Max Snax takes a bullet that could have gone almost anywhere based on Hypxr's reactions.
So that is totally possible. Hypxr, so it's always that language of like camera shakes and camera spins and like all that kind of stuff. Hypxr will do hyperactive, appropriately excited pre-shot motions. I think the flickers that we saw off on towards Boots and Rocker was actually flickering at the moment of the reject from Rocker. So it wasn't a proximity of who they were flickering on, but the moment of flickering saying, I think Boots just rejected, and I think that Hypxr was just super happy that they called out the sequence of events in there. I could be wrong, though.
No, I think you're probably right, because the whole way that game played out, it did really feel like Hypxr was on top of it. Let's see what they can do from the spy side here on Gallery. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
During that super, I feel like I've seen just like a lot of Hypxr because there was another really
Oh, that's a
long
very
series that
quick green purloin. I'm sorry to interrupt, but stuff is happening in a big way. The ambassador is the one who takes the list. List is visibly gone.
No, that's not on you. That's on Hypxr for interrupting my point by immediately green pearling at the beginning. We will have to see because like it's so interesting when Cast takes the first one, or sorry, takes the list after the initial reject, because like it's both it's the good bad split.
That's a low light.
We do get low lit though. That's really
That's
surprising to me. Just not even because like obviously like we may not have known that we're the one to reject, but I don't know where the assumption comes from that we were safe to take that low light.
Yeah, very interesting. Takes a quick print off of the briefcase as well, and then gets bounced back into the same briefcase again to return it properly this time.
Oh,
Gets
lump that
brought
guy.
back up to neutral for that whole exchange as well.
Yeah, so right now this is like 50-50 on whether or not this is like going okay or not. Because we're getting pretty decent progress. We're back to neutral, which of course is not great that we had enough consideration about us going from a low light to neutral light that this is like a neutral and a half at the least because there's
Yeah.
been enough like activity considering us. So hard to tell, but we'll just have to see what other people do. The banana bread obviously is going to be huge because if we're really worried and we knock out a ton of the suspects, because the party already has like such and such number of people that might have had Perlin credit at the beginning, it's just going to be huge.
Absolutely, but we've got a while to go for that yet, as the double agent is not anywhere near a conversation quite yet. We do have the purloin, we do have the one print done. And into the green bookcase for our first flirt of the match with 1 minute and 35 to play. It is white, so only 34% as well.
Yeah, time is going to be a problem here for us, even though we had that immediate Perlin at the start here. We're going to need some cooked fingerprints, and Ambassador is kind of hanging out in a spot that is neither buggable nor very useful for fingerprints right now. They are going to probably leave that briefcase, so we might go try to flirt at statues here, maybe, and try to grab
Not
that
really a lot
fingerprint
of
after
space.
somebody. Yeah, exactly. Oh, here we go. I think. Oh no, we are gonna path over. I was curious. We're gonna lose this race, even though we made it there
Huh.
way before Queen.
Yeah. That was a pretty intentionally lost race, it looked like.
Yeah, we might be waiting for the second bite at this, but that always looks suspicious if you take two bites at the same fingerprint. I kind of hope this statue is fingerprintable because we need something at this point. It doesn't look like it though.
No, indeed. 35 seconds to play. Just takes a swap. I can't see that working.
No, I don't think so. But I mean, I can't remember who was there before. Max gets a big glance at that one. We're done. It's nothing's gonna work here. Like I don't think we can.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough stuff that we can do. Seducing meant nothing right there. I don't even know why we seduced. We had to dump that book and like go swap or something. So it is just gonna be a timeout, and I don't think Max is even gonna be worried about this here. Oh, I guess we could. Actually, I didn't even notice that contact. I'm actually disappointed in Hypxr for typing out there. That's very unusual for him. I don't know why we took the book out. I don't know why we flirted. Contacting was fine, but either we needed to dump that book or swap. Well, but once we took the book, we couldn't. Sorry, I said swap. We already swapped. I don't know why we didn't transfer the book.
Yeah. Either way, we got closer than we should have. I think he was desperately hoping that the distance would give him enough time to go back for the flirt and the selection target wouldn't move too far, I think was the game plan, but didn't wind up working out. It's 4-4 going into our second round of Gallery with Max Snax on the spy side versus Hypxr Sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Ooh, I like Hyper Sniper. I don't think I've heard that before, even though it should have come up so many times.
Lots of traffic on the way out back for Max Snax, but does tuck in with the bug on the way into conversation. That is basically completely invisible. Just too much cover from this conversation. So the bug done, 51% on the flirt. That's a big start from Max.
Yeah, and at first I was like, okay, what's Max going to choose between what's less suspicious, pathing all the way through, and potentially trying to hide the fact that you had the bug path, or sidling up next to Ambassador, making it very obvious that you had the bug opportunity. We do have a slight subtle highlight on us, unfortunately, that could only be a bug worry at the very least. Oh, and we got some flashes in our direction. That's never a good sign.
No, it's certainly not.
Especially given that this is basically like Max makes a lot of use out of Kane on Gallery. So I don't know if Hyper did any prep on Max before this, but this does feel like a Max game for sure already. So props to him if he's already kind of figured that out.
So that is a statue visit in the books. Out back to finish up the flirt here now, in with the double agent as well. So a lot of progress could fall very, very quickly here. There's the contact coming off. We've got 85% on the flirt. There's a white purloin. I did not see that coming, but Hyper did. The shot comes off, and that is a quick one from Hyper.
There was actually some real danger there. Let's see. So that was we would have timed out, I think. Or sorry, not timed out. We would have missed the if we had. Oh, sorry, no, that I'm looking at contact. Never mind, never mind. We did take it within the 10 seconds. It was close to the 10 seconds for the purloin, the white purloin, if we had hit the green seduction target. So Hyper a little bit maybe back foot on the timing of the white purloin because they had calculated out the rest. So almost sneak something through, but Hyper is mostly on top of that.
Absolutely, and they head into the spy side next on our fourth game on Gallery. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And I will say, very blow for blow. So, in theory, like I think that most people that are in the community recognize that Hyper has been playing extremely well as of late. But just on its face, bronze level player versus platinum level player, you think that Max would be a huge favorite. But I do think that Hyper again has shown themselves available. As I say this, and I'm trying to glaze Hyper, we just have an obvious bug and just shot bring us back even. But I will say that the placement and SEL not quite representative of Hyper skill at this point. So we are a bit closer, and indeed we are tied after that bug attempt.
Yeah, every now and again when you haven't refined your play as much as some of the big guys have, just little moments like that tend to slip in where you go for something that is falling away from you as you go, and things just sort of fall apart more quickly than you know what to do with, and you just wind up with situations like accidentally waving at the sniper. But overall, he has been playing extremely well, as evidenced by the fact that he's able to hold this game at 5 for now. Into Modern we go next, our second doubled venue, I believe. Max Snax on the spy first in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
All right, well, we're gonna probably grab this flirt at the beginning here. What's the bar situation? Pretty, pretty rough for. Okay, there's another, at least one more person joining bar. I actually don't know what like the average like bar visitor at the beginning is. Usually, there's a lot of people because of chaos. They get kind of scattered around. They're not stuck in conversation, but not too terrible. What is a little bit terrible is that we really just have nothing going on for us at this conversation circle while we're waiting for wheels to make up their mind about where they go next from windows.
Yeah, I think Max Snack's just sort of waiting for the seduction target to settle before he starts moving themselves. Indeed, as soon as the seduction target settles, away he goes. So this is going to be the early flirt, also in conversation with the double agent, but we'll see if we're able to make any use of that. And the flirt does come off green, so 51% early on is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, looking around the party, Ambassador is moving around a little bit finally. We're going to be a couple statue visitors. We are going to grab this fingerprintable briefcase. We have the opportunity to just go to the bar and finish fingerprint right here, which we do take. That is, that totally tracks. Um, and while that's happening, we do have a couple more statue visitors.
Oh.
We reject, though. Very interesting. That's almost like a low light for me. That's actually playing against type. That's I do like to see that from Max there.
Yeah, that's a very interesting move. I'm a little bit worried about that briefcase because the ambassador was still very close by when we picked it up, but Hyper didn't seem to pick up on it one way or the other, so it's probably fine.
Yeah, honestly, if Max is looking at this is a ton of statue visitors. I don't know if actually. I think Teal was alone at the other statue. So Teal's done with statues. Papa's picking up in specs. We've had a bunch of visitors at this point for this early on. I would be very tempted to try to frame one of them, especially given that we haven't had a ton of progress. We are faking, so we're trying to scatter some of that out there. Fortunately, that does knock out two people that have partials, but it does still keep in some that have finished. So we'll have to see how we feel about the rest of the people in here. We actually might be this might be a frame right here actually coming off of this direction into Purloin. It is not. We are just picking up the delegate.
That was still a difficult print, though, and Max Snax is able to hit it, so the fingerprint is done. We have one more flirt to go. And we do have this delegate to work with, which I think we're going to have to send for an actual take here if we want to get this done on time, because we're a little bit low on the clock to finish up the rest of this. We do actually send this with plenty of time remaining, so this is going to be a third mission completion, and out we go to the double agent.
Yeah, we're gonna settle into this conversation here. The question is, are we gonna contact to distract too late to even make that choice? So it is just gonna be a normal take in here. Um, if Hyper's on top of this, importantly, we could knock out. But here's the contact.
Look, going for lowlights means we're probably not going for a shot. 3 seconds. Hyper is not looking for it, and Max Snack slips it by, gets one done on the spy side of Modern.
Yeah, definitely. Our ability to get those fingerprints in there pretty early threw off the timing, I think, of our concern. And I do think that Hyper was pretty worried about a couple of other people in there and was more relieved, I think, at that point that they were not they weren't providing full threat in there. I do think that Teal again with the full inspects and contacting there at the end didn't have a full mission count. That was probably near the top of our list, and yep, helped draw enough of our attention away that we were just not worried about that. Great little spy win by Max.
Absolutely. Let's see what Hyper can do from the spy side of Modern in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Fortunately, we have a drink in our hand. Otherwise, I think that Hyper might try to steal. It doesn't even matter. We might still try to steal this book. If we had no drink in our hand, I guarantee we'd have stolen that book. But now it's a little bit less certain.
Yeah. Just a little bit too slow there when you have to take the sip on the way through, but Hyper does pick up a green test on the animation transfer, so though the book goes back, the microfilm does not. That comes with us as we pick up a print on the briefcase as well.
Yep, and importantly, a flirt on our way through. We fingerprint the briefcase, we do set down, and then we're gonna. Oh, unfortunately, our seduction target goes back to blue bookcase, which is useless for us. And so we're going to be bouncing around a little bit here. Are we going to bug on the way through here?
I was sure that was going to be a bug attempt. I got so nervous there for a second, but didn't pull the trigger on it.
That's probably for the best, because honestly, the rest of this looks really good for us. I don't think we need to be throwing out wheels bugs at this point, and might potentially just get shot. So I want him to just play this out, especially because we got the out in the open microfilm done at the beginning, so we have the option for the nice tucked away one at books later. So that's looking pretty good for us. We are going to get pulled into the pool of suspects in here, so Hyper might need to wait on the microfilm to not be highlight at whichever book they go to. Um, I don't know if Max is the type that if we just leave now, we'll get bumped back down. I think that highlight's going to stick for a full minute regardless.
Yeah. Does pick up the flirt while we're there to bring us up to 68%. So even though we don't do any delegate shenaniganry, we do have that extra flirt as progress from that spot. This is too far away from the seduction target to actually even get this done in 3, I think, even if we hit the green. We do hit the green, but it's only 97%. That's a tough break from Hyper.
Yeah, I was trying to do like the mental math, or I guess geometry almost, of like how close we were, because that also felt unusually far. Like, I do understand that padding directly in was going to look awkward on our angle that we had in there, but I don't know why we didn't just put ourselves a little bit closer if we're going to go for that. And we could tell when we were in there that was going to happen. We do fingerprint book and hoping to hit this transfer at the same time, but this is actually a terrible spot, and Hyper seems to agree as we actually go around. We might try to do it behind the conversation here actually later. If we contact or try to do something, like we might just use this as a block behind here.
Well, first things first, the most important thing about being in this particular conversation is that we get the flirt done, and indeed he does. So that's print in the books, flirt in the books, and a red book in hand getting ready to try to
Here we
do some
go.
shenaniganry with. There's the transfer in the back, does get seen. Max Snax on top of it and finds themselves with the first proper lead of this match.
I'm trying to remember the saying of like never bullshit a bullshitter or something like that, and that's exactly what Max. That's exactly like Max now, because Max is very aware of that play, right? And then like he'll just know like this is a great option for wheels, right? That's a
Yeah.
wheels and Smallman, of course, also spot. That's the wheels and Smallman spot for transfers of trying to hide your second part of your transfer animation. And the move in and out is very subtle, but if you know about the availability of that option, you're just going to be ready.
Yeah, that was very well played on both of their parts. Max Snax to find it and Hyper to honestly perform it very well. The positioning and the move itself was very clean, but not clean enough to get past Max Snax. As we head back into Modern for the second go around, Snax on the spy side first in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And not to be a broken record, but Hyper and Max going punch for punch right here is just demonstrating again that Hyper is really like an exciting talent to watch in SpyParty. It's just been cool to see this rise. And Max Snax also kind of actually almost like opposite. Max Snax stepped away from competitive SpyParty for a while and then came back, and people thought that they might be rusty, but then did really well in Platinum. And so we have kind of two opposite stories of here of somebody who has played for a long time, stepped away, and has come back and de-rusted really well, versus someone who has been rising up very recently, and they are both playing excellently.
Absolutely. It's a delight to watch. But Max Snax taking this game pretty slow off the top of the game. Hasn't really been able to find any progress yet. Winds up chasing the seduction target to bookcase in order to just get that first flirt. Not the kind of thing you usually want to see, but it certainly gets the job done. 51% off the close green.
And are we going to try to take this really late? We do not try to go for a test there. Kind of like it's like a mixed thing with Salmon. His frame and his arm are just so big, but his head, is so smooth that it doesn't. You don't notice the turning of the head too much unless you're looking around the glasses area. But we do not actually end up going for that in the corner there. It is also just kind of pokes out above. The cover isn't as good on the head, even though it's a little bit harder to see the turn.
In conversation with the double agent we go, looking to set up this. The conversations are a little bit spread out, but the one with the DA in particular is pretty dang busy. This is a good time for it, even with the suspected double agent unfortunately out. Max Snax does not take it and just heads back to the seduction target to try to finish this in 2.
Yeah, I am curious about this because this for Moderne, like right now, God,
Banana
we have
bread.
the fake at the very least. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
This is like an incredible opportunity for a fake, and we do end up taking it. So it looks like we're not going to get bitten for not taking that contact. Matter of fact, it looks like we're just going to do another contact here. About like
Banana
it's going
bread.
to generate like okay, so now what's Hyper's reaction? Why is there a contact in here? What has changed since the last contact such that the spy would contact again? And the answer is our seduction target and us have
Banana
moved
bread.
conversation circle. Okay, now, so this actually makes sense. That actually, what's funny about that is it actually fully makes sense because the third one is trying to say that the second one might have also just been we're throwing out contacts. And so the third one is cover for the second one being the real one. That's a funny sequence of events. It actually totally makes sense.
So we've got the contact very done at this point. We've got the flirt done in 2 in the same conversation. And out we go to the statues. We are gifted the possibility of a second inspect when Seek only 1 cycles, but Max winds up only taking the single. And then goes statue to statue for the second, interestingly enough. Oh! They just swapped it. That's a different statue now.
Yes, and because this is so full of mind games, okay, no,
Doesn't matter.
Hyper is able to find it. Like that's I actually really like that game from Max though. Even though we get caught on that, is because like I think that Max has more of an intuition for mind games than Hyper does, and Hyper didn't quite know what to do with that situation. And does just take I think just a shot where like they just were not totally sure. Um, Really interesting play there by Max. Such an interesting decision. Seek was at another set of statues, I think, early on. Yeah. So Seek was finishing in specs and could have swapped there. And the fact that we had basically everybody on the venue had contact credit at that point. And actually, I didn't even notice this at the end here. When we have that third banana bread, I did notice that there was multiple people that looked like they banana splitted at the end there. I was like, oh, that's a funny thing. Irish, Seek, and one of the twins all split at the same time. So it looks like the third banana bread might have been a split opportunity banana bread rather than a cover for the second banana bread. And then Seek goes straight to the statues. And so honestly, that's a pretty compelling option for Seek in that game. I'm curious about how much Hyper was sensitive to Seek being an available option there.
Yeah. Either way, it was a good game, but it didn't wind up working out. Hyper back within 1. 6-7, the current scoreline as we play another round of Modern. Hyper on the spy this time in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We'll just have to see.
Like
I just have so much respect.
target.
Yeah, we can't quite find him. I just have so much respect for Max's ability to find intuitively compelling frame targets and like just narratives within. He's like a behavioralist spy, and sometimes
Yeah.
that's hard to find in the community. That you're able to piece that together in real time. I love seeing it.
So out we go to try to chase down our seduction target one more time. This time out to the bar. Should give us plenty of opportunity. Unfortunately, not able to hit the green, so it's only 33%. Still plenty of room to get it done with 3 whites if you need to, but you would have really liked to have hit that green in that moment. And we're able to chase him down when he lands in conversation as well.
Also, we do a reject but have purloin option. I want. Is there a shorthand term that we have for that? Oh, we actually leave for the timer. We have delegate as an available option, even though we did the reject because we did the partial, take thing. Again, we need a shorthand for it, but we have delegate even though we rejected.
So into the red bookcase we go. Nothing doing there though, just putting it back where it came from and back out into conversation with the seduction target. This is a very weird decision because we left just before the cooldown ran out, did nothing, then came back across conversation with the seduction target and didn't even have an opportunity to get the flirt done. So we're still at 33% with no other progress, and we've lost a lot of time for it, down to 2 minutes and 15. Double Agent drops in to say hi, though, so we might be able to do something there. Nope, just chasing the seduction target again.
Yeah, and I feel like our timer is going to run out, so we're not going to actually do anything with this delegate that I could have sworn that we did have, but maybe I'm wrong about that. And together, I'm going to be watching for that. I am interested why we didn't send wheels, and also like why we didn't contact and send wheels because it was an interesting moment for that. But we'll have to see here. Yeah, we'll just have to parse this all together. Um, what ends up happening is that we just have like a lot of burned clock.
So out and back in, 67% on the flirt, and we get nice and cozy for the third one. So that one was guaranteed. Flirt is done, but we only have a minute and 25 left to play and no other progress. This is not looking great for Hypxr, and he's got to make up some progress pretty quickly. So it's going to be a fingerprintable statue as the first place we go, and we take the swap while we're there.
Take the swap while we're here. If we were a little bit further along, this is an interesting timing because let's see, 10 seconds are going to pass. I mean, but Max also knows that there's been no BB, so there's really no threat of an actual finish here. We're by the way,
Print.
I don't know if it matters to Max. We're cutting a lot of animations. We left conversation mid animation. We left book mid animation. I don't have a good grasp on Max paying attention to those, but that's just been happening quite a bit this match.
Absolutely, it has been. If we hit this contact, that's the last mission we need. 30 seconds left to play. There's the contact. What's the reaction from Snax? Is there any? There is indeed. He was just waiting for the mission count. He was all over that spy. And Max Snax is able to make it to match point.
Okay, no, I am wrong about him ever having that delegate option. That was a straight up hallucination. We still need a word for it, but I was wrong that it ever happened because it's like, why didn't that delegate come off? I think I just saw the offer thing and then thought that I saw the reject thing at the same time because we walked away from the reject so quickly. So to me, it looked like we had done the stand and walk away option, but indeed we did not. So that answers that mystery. But yeah, almost able to find something there, but Max pieces it together.
And that's 2 match points for Max Snax. If he can find one win on Ballroom, any 4 of 8, he goes on to face Nebula in the semifinals. Hypxr needs 2 in a row to force overtime, starting from the sniper side. Let's see if he can find it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and we're going to be trying to force. Oh nope, I was say we're going to try to force our way to seduction target here, but we have to bail out because there's too much blockage on it. So instead, we are going to hang out near here. Sometimes early BBs are fun, but this would be just god awful. So I don't think we're going to be doing that.
Yeah, if you can find a good opportunity for a moment for a early contact like this with a bunch of people in conversations, absolutely take it because it can really throw off a sniper's internal clock, but that was not a good opportunity, as you said.
Yeah, and I'm also curious to see how Max plays out. Okay, so we're gonna have a natural offer here. I think that it's not gonna be a purloin right now. Nope, just a normal reject. Papa Danger has gone centered to side statues. I actually think that makes it a little bit harder to frame him later, but we'll have to see. I don't think we're positioning ourselves up for anything that we were just watching Papa Danger from the beginning. Oh, Danger just going statue to statue to statue. I actually hope for Max's sake we lose that race, but we don't. And Papa's just hogging the statues. That's too bad because Bling would have had middle statues from that.
Yeah. Does eventually pick up that first flirt for 51%, and out to the statues goes Max. So that's a pair of inspects from the side statues. Does take a highlight for statue progress as well. And back into conversation with the seduction target, this time a cross conversation, so no chance of getting it done in 2. It is a white test from this distance to bring us up to 68%, so we're going to need to get nice and close to get it done in 3 if we want to get it on a white test.
All right, natural offer here after a take. I don't think we're going to do anything with this. Yep, just a normal reject. But we are going to do a banana bread. Ignore the action test, by the
Banana
way.
bread.
And then actually, I was going to say pretty good. And then everyone else jumped in conversation. Perfect. A perfect banana bread, actually.
Yeah.
At least for keeping people in.
That's amazing. You love to see that kind of thing. It looks like we're going to wait for the timer flirt here, which is a little bit awkward because even with the green, we're too far away to get it done from that distance. So 93% is where that falls. Bug on the way into back statues. That is a very bug-like path, and this is our second visit to statues. I'm a little bit surprised Hypxr isn't jumping on this, but Max Snax does get away from that fairly cleanly.
No, this is a fabulous game now. So like I agree that it all came down to that. Importantly, on that bug path into statues, because ambassadors stay in a reliable spot, what you do is you bug really late. You do not stick your arm out early, and you do it while you're waiting for the grab. This feels like it's in the bag.
Countdown, no reaction from Hypxr, and Max Snax, with a very strong last few spy games of this match, pulls it off beautifully at the end, comes out of it 9-6 ahead, and secures his spot in the semifinals against Nebula.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons, like that bug is one of the reasons why you pick Duke, because he keeps his arm still like that, like, and also like the pickup right after. Just insanely good bug. From there, you just have to know it's an option, it's an available thing that Duke can just really get away with, because otherwise it's just so invisible. So Max did a great job knowing the strengths of his characters this set. Hypxr played extremely well. Hypxr still among some of the most promising newer players that we have. I think that they can feel pretty good about their run here. They just immediately ran into a very good player, who then, in turn, needs to go face Nebula. And I will say, like, I know that Nebula was playing a player that they probably felt like they had a little bit more latitude versus. I think that Max looked a little stronger in this set than Nebula did in their set. So that really could be a big match for the two of them.
Yeah, Nebula was definitely felt like they were playing on house money on their set versus Obi-Wan Kenobi. We'll see how they settle into what looks like a little bit more of a scary opponent in Max Snax on the next round. But that is going to do it for us today. Thanks a ton for everybody who came out to watch. If this is your first time here somehow, this game is called SpyParty. You can get it from SpyParty.com or on Steam for $25. Though if you get it on the website, you do also get a Steam key free of charge. If you've been around for a little while and are interested in getting into the competitive side of the game, discord.gg/SpyParty is the place to be. There's always a bunch of stuff going on and a bunch of lovely folks who are more than happy to help you get started on that journey. Thanks a ton for you as well, Slappy, for casting with me. This was a joy.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to cast with Taboshi. And looking forward to more Winter Cup.
Yeah, me too. Thanks as well to Wrestler for being our host and observer. I hope you all had a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time.